channel, Trucker Ride and the S.E.E channel, and we are here at the Petro in Glady Spring, however you want to pronounce it, Virginia. So tomorrow I've got to get up to Northern Virginia here, along the Kentucky state line, make a couple deliveries, then into Kentucky. So get this canceled. I dropped my truck off last Friday, and it had a grocery list full of problems. It was scheduled for a PM, so that consists of an oil change, filters, grease, the whole 9 yards there. I had also the ABS has been an issue since December. The wire harness is in. So last year, I had just gotten the truck back 5 weeks out, so it would have been the second Monday of March of last year. I got it back. They had done a control module and new ABS sensors and that down at the wheels, and that seemed to have fixed everything until here in December. Everything lit back up on the dash, which entailed the ABS not working and the traction control went on, especially when I'm pulling a hill or taking off from a dead stop. Traction control will kick in and it's powering it down, because obviously, if you know the traction control on these trucks, it puts them in a limp mode to kind of take the wheel that's slipping, and apply the traction control on that wheel to get the wheel that has traction to bite more. Anyhow, that's all been acting up. So they got the wire harness. What they're going to do is they're going to run it from the only thing of that ABS that wasn't replaced last year was the wire harness. Everything else in the ABS and traction control system has been replaced new. So the front steer tires, both of them are cupping. It's pulling to the right. The AC's working mediocre, moderately to mediocre as far as coolness. I'm having them, look at that, check for leaks, what have you. And rainy days, whether it's sitting like parked in just in the dew, in the wetness, or going down the road in the rain, the serpentine belt's slipping up front. Well, obviously it's up front, but there's two belts, but I can see both of them are probably going to need to be changed. But I told them the belts are slipping, and on a dry day such as this, when we step outside here, the pulleys are making a lot of noise and squeaking, like maybe a idler pulley or something, the bearing's going out. What else did I put down on that truck? I think that was it for the most part. So all that stuff, I'd like to get it back this Friday. I picked this truck was on standby. It took 3 weeks for me to get that truck dropped off, as we're waiting on a rental truck to back me up on, and so I'm in it now. With that said, before we continue on with this truck, just giving you some content of why I'm in this truck. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, it's helping us grow and get us out there. I appreciate all the new subscribers that have come on board. So, like I said in every video, the 1,000th subscriber is going to get from us a complete wash pail, like a 5-gallon, 5-gallon wash pail from Jack's Wax, filled with all kinds of detailing goodies. So in my appreciation to all of you that have signed on with the channel to follow me and hear my tales, and maybe talk a little industry rules and regulations. So I'm sorry, just keeping an eye. Bennett Trucking, which is a really good company, they do a lot of RGN, step deck, and all that. This guy's in here with a step deck, but he's out here. He just pulled up. I was hoping no one had parked to my driver's side here so we could be out walking around, but I'll see what he's going to be doing. That's what I thought he was doing. He's unhooking from the trailer, and he's going to bobtail off somewhere here. So that's why the sun's coming up. I want to go through this truck. So a little story on this truck is it's a 2019 Freightliner Cascadia. When I first saw it, I said, that truck kind of looks like it's spec the way I would do it. So as I got in here, I looked at things. The door does say it's manufactured August of 2019. It's got 18,000. When I picked it up, it had 18,000 more miles than my truck. There's a 3-year difference. My truck's a 21, but they title it as a 22, so I think it was mid-year. So, but anyhow, there's a 3-year difference between the two trucks. They pretty much got the same miles, so this truck has hardly been run. But it's low miles for its year. It has a Detroit diesel. It has a 10-speed stick. And the sleeper, I'm going to turn you around here and we're going to go through the sleeper. Not in detail like I did on my truck. Most of it's the same, identical, because I can maneuver around, pretty much know where everything's at. It's where it's spec'd for a solo driver operating this truck like I do day in and day out, which is the way I would love to have my truck instead of having a top bunk bed. And so anyhow, and then it's got the bull bar in the front, but it does not have the side skirting. So with that, it does have a little bit more motor than mine. I like it, but I think the gearing is a little bit low. For the most part, the RPMs are about 200 RPMs higher on a cruising than mine. And I think it's because this is a 10-speed and my truck has a 12-speed automatic. So fuel mileage, I'm definitely seeing the difference in it. Mine averages around 7.2 when I'm working in the hills of West Virginia. I got down here. Basically, I think the best I've seen is 6.2 on flatland. But once I got down here, I'm 5.7, 5.8 miles a gallon. I've already had to fuel up twice. So this truck is not efficient for long haul. It's good for like short regional runs, which I think this truck has been doing, and I'll show you that here as we step outside. But first, let me grab you here and let's take a walk around, and we'll finish this live stream outside and go from there. So get you all turned around here. There we go. So as you can see, it's got this gauge here. Where are we at? Right there. And that is PSI, and that's on for the rear suspension, as you can see. So the pressure on the rear suspension. But the truck is off right now. Otherwise, it's pretty rattly and noisy because it's got a manual shift instead of an automatic. The other thing too is here, if you could see, this is the APU. This truck has what my truck does not have, an APU, but this is the type of APU it has. The key is on, but the engine is not running. Optimize idle. We kick that to avoid unintentional vehicle movement. Don't wiggle the shifter, then hit this. Do I want interior comfort? Yes. Hit OK. Standby, engine may start or stop. So with this on, this optimize idle and the key on, I can set the climate control in the sleeper. Here it goes. You can hear it beeping. And then the engine starts up. And it actually high idles itself there. So basically, that's it. So once it reaches the climate control temperature, whether it's AC or heat, once it reaches that, the engine then turns off. The obnoxious thing about this is this whole big 15-liter engine is starting and stopping through the night it's too obnoxious. So I've been dealing with it, but I'm not a fan of it. It's just one way, and I know Freightliner's doing a lot of that. Here, zoom you back out. With this new efficiency, instead of running a diesel generator in the back, you know, like a tri-pack or a carrier or a green APU, that's their way of doing it without having to put an APU. Now, there are batteries in the framer I'll show you out there. So this is the first time I've seen a Cascadia spec'd for a single operator. So as you can see, it's a horseshoe. So right there would be your bunk going across in my truck. But instead you got the shelving up there. It's pretty deep on this side, a little shallow back there, but that's basically it. Then I got my Dometic down there, my little portable refrigerator I carry from the camper. But basically all the shelving and everything else forward to here, you know, to the cab is all the same. But I was really impressed just seeing this. And I bought a chair, so now summer's here, I can sit outside. So yeah, so that's basically it. I've not seen a Cascadia like this in a condo sleeper. 99% of them always have the top bunk for team running, but this was kind of nice. So this tells me when they do that kind of stuff, whoever had this lease purchase before, they the driver was regional, didn't go far, because normally they wouldn't send someone, you know, cross country in that. In a company truck, they always want to do you know, teams and stuff like that. So anyhow, that's that. I showed you pretty much all the doodads that this truck's got to offer. So let's step outside, and I'll show you why I wouldn't jump all over this truck at me switching mine out for this one. So yeah, she's gray. The one thing I do like, I like the bull bar. So I've already unlatched the bull bar and the hood. So put the bull bar down. But everything else same, other than the bull bar there. It's a 15 liter, but it's the 505 1750 torque. Actually, that's the dream engine I'd like to have in the other truck for basically what we do. And we'll sit down later and have a discussion of truck specs and all that. From what I know, I'm not going to sit here and read from a blog or anything like that someone's wrote. So anyhow, that's just it. 15 liter 505 1750 torque Detroit diesel, not a Cummins. So it does get up and go, but that 10 speed really holds it back. It could use a 13 speed behind it. It does not have skirting. This is where I think I'm losing all my fuel mileage, is this right here. It's a lot of air drag, especially for what I'm putting in. The other thing you'll notice too, she's got a lot of rust flake, and I mean a ton of it. Oh look, someone left their chair there. But this truck has got a boatload of rust. And mainly only even up there on the stack. But the rear differential, and the other thing is this thing's got recaps and they're all mismatched. But the rear differential, I don't know if you can see it or not, that thing has got a boatload of rust on it. And the scales on it are probably a good 1/8 inch thick. So I kind of skeptical of having a truck with that much rust. So while we're back here, this is one of our new trailers. So this is just got this. I want to say we're going on our second full month with these trailers. This is the new lift gate. I am not going to run this lift gate out today. I'm going to do it another time because this truck, the other downfall is this truck does not have the receptacle for my charge cord to plug into it for the tractor to charge the trailer battery pack. So this is it's got a safety chain, which the other ones did not. It just relied on the hydraulic pressure to hold it up. So that's a good safety factor. We're running toggle switches instead of a tablet like push button. So that was one. This is the power disconnect. So you got to turn that power disconnect on to power it up first before you get it lowered down. And then of course this one comes with a bigger battery pack, as you can see. So the battery pack is much larger. But I'm not able to charge this lift gate, so I still got a couple stops to use the lift gate tomorrow, and I don't want to push my luck with where the battery's at right now. So anyhow, that's that. Let's go up and shut that hood. Say that guy took off, Bennett. I don't know, maybe he's going up to the service station. Like I said, I'm here at the Petro in Glad Spring, Virginia, exit 29 on the I-81. So let's get this shut. I don't want it hanging out here. You can see that's the latch. All right, that's latched. I'll latch the hood later. I'm just more concerned about that right now. So let's grab our chair, go down. I've been waiting for a long time to sit out here because I haven't been able to sit outside last year for quite some time. Turn the camera around. Sit here. Trying to pick a spot. Let's just sit behind my trailer that way. Whew. It's nice. It's a nice puffy chair. I'll show you this real quick. And where I'm at back here. Got a nice view. So as you can see, it's a nice, I'm in the back lot. I like this truck stop. It's one of my favorite Petros that is in my territory of running the route. But nice grassy hill and all that. And that's actually that, and then I have a footstool that comes with it. And I think I got $60 in it all. It's on sale at camping. Big old Freightliner Coronado or XL, like Coronado. So, back to the discussion that I want to have is, I when I first got in this truck, before I got out on the open road with it, I said, this would be a nice truck, maybe consider it. But after I said, let me run it for a week. So I did. I'm day 3. I just finished my 3rd day out, and would not be a truck I'd want. The biggest thing is that 10-speed and the gearing is not set up right for me in the hills. With this bigger horse, more torque engine, is basically pulling the same as mine with the 12-speed automatic. I'm in the with the 12-speed, I'm still in around on I-64 yesterday. There's a place by, what is that, Lewisburg, before you get to Covington on I-64. Now it's going east. But the hill, I was pulling a hill, and I know I'm always in 8th gear on mine. I was in 8th gear on this, basically right around 38 miles an hour. And that's about where I'd pull up with that. So I'm like, both of them are pulling the same in the hills. So I'm already seeing that. Secondly, a con on this truck is the fuel mileage. Last week I put in 2750. The week before, I've been hitting between 26 and 2700 miles every week for running about 5 states. And I've been, usually unloading 2 trailers a week. So I can do, right now, this trailer, currently, this trailer, get on the right side of the camera, I was on the back side pointing, but this trailer, my trailer's right here. So I'm behind the trailer. So, and that's Melton. That's a flatbed company. And then on the driver's side of me is Bennett, and that's a step deck. So, this trailer is loaded with 14 stops. 14 stops. Last week I did that many stops out of 2 trailers. So I'm already day 3 and I'm just half unloaded right now. So I still have 2 more stops in Virginia, 3 more stops in Kentucky, and I'll finally be empty. And then I got to go up, and what hours I got left, I'll probably run a short run on Friday or Thursday, whenever I get back. Just depends on how my day runs tomorrow. So, I'm already thinking this truck is not going to be feasible for me. It doesn't have the side skirting. The mileage is 5.7-ish, right in there, give or take a point. So it's been 5.7, 5.8. It hasn't hit 5.5. Fuel mileage is crappy. It's got a little bit of vibration, but I'm wondering if it's because I have got 4 matching recaps on one side and 4 mismatch recaps on the left side of the drive. And it pulls hard to the right. And it's typical of a Freightliner to always be out of a line. So it's going to need a handful of stuff fixed before I would consider it. But I don't think Ryder's going to. She's 6 years old in their fleet. And I think the only reason why they're kicking it out because it is low mileage for a 6-year-old truck. But mine is a 22, so it's half the life. So by the time my lease is up on my truck, they'll throw it out in the for sale lot, just like I'm sure this one will be here shortly. But spec-in truck like this, and doing the kind of work I'm doing, I would say, something around a 500 horse, 12, 13 speed because of the mountains I'm running. I'm in the Appalachians. I'd say 80% of the time, delivering my routes. Like 336 gears. You could do, a 13-speed automatic or a, just depends on the manufacturer. This is a DT12, Detroit's have had DT12. I've had that before on a rental last year. And it pulled better than this manual 10-speed. There's 12, the I-shift 12 of a Volvo. That actually pulled good up in the northern Appalachians in New York going to Maine. I was impressed with that. I'm not impressed with my automatic. I don't know. She's definitely taller gears, so I'm definitely having to drop down more. But overall, I'm pulling the same speed when it finally meets its plateau to get that hill climb and then crest it. So, for this, I'd say, you don't need anything crazy, but like a 500 horse, 12, 13 speed, 10 at the least, but 12, 13, 336 gears. Depends on the type of work you're doing. I like the sleeper I've got. I wouldn't mind having this sleeper configuration set up with my truck. But if I was going more over the road, then obviously, you know, the top bunk, if you're going to have someone to ride along as a team or not, that's, you know, depending on whether you're owner-op. Because the owner-op specs on a truck are far different than a company spec. Company spec's going to be uniformed right across the line because they're going to optimize the best fuel mileage they can get. So that's all that, the aerodynamics, that flaring and all that, which does help because the side, without having that flaring on the side, is chewing up my fuel. On this truck, that bull bar is nice. I'd love to have that on my truck. It won't work. This one won't work on my truck because this is a different front bumper and the provisions are different. He should have brought me the water though. So, if I was to do like heavy haul, and a lot of people say, well, my Red Mac, I still know all the specs from my Red Mac from 35 years ago. That was a day cab, one stack Mac, 4 1/4 cat. It was turned up, probably about 475. 13 speed with, get this, 463 gears in it. So basically, because we were hauling, you know, we were grossing anywhere from 160 to 200,000. But we were only going like 90 miles down, unload, 90 miles back to reload. So make 3 rounds a day. Top speed was 60, 61, you know, but that's heavy haul, that's short runs. That's not a gearing you're going to come out here and try to run interstate or across the state. You know, that's basically covered maybe 2-3 counties going across the state. But if you were to get out here and say, do an RGN, haul some CAT equipment, I'd say, you know, nowadays, Cummins in Detroit, they have, you can get these Detroits and the Freightliners and the Western Stars. Western Star makes a heavy spec truck. So like say Kenworth or a Western Star, you know, Kenworth, you'd be in the Cummins 565 1850 torque, or the 605 2050 torque. Detroit is the same way. You can get, I believe, a 565 1850 and the 600 2050 in theirs. Gear ratio, you know, in 18 speed, anytime you get 1850 or 2050 torque for that kind of heavy pulling, you know, when you're moving, you know, step decks or RGNs, then yeah, you're going to probably want the high torque ones like those two. Torque 18 or 2050, 1850, you know, so they all come with the 18 speed transmission, usually about a 370 gear now with that. Back then, as the engines came up in torque specs and horsepower, then I started seeing gear ratios coming up on a 430 gear ratio, then a 411s. But never would have thought that you could go down the road and haul heavy spec. With us, we were running, you know, 3, you know, tri-axle tractor and 8-axle trailers. I'd still say, you know, 410s would, 430s would be enough. You know, because you can't really run that kind of axle configuration from state to state without a whole bunch of permits. But yeah, that, and then with the heavy spec double frame, so you're going to run a double frame rail, like a 370 gear. Usually the 46s, the Dana 46s on them. That's usually because a lot of Canadian spec, and I get a lot of these specs too from Andy the Kenworth guy on his channel. Been following him for the better part of 6 years. But yeah, you can follow him and see between an over-the-road spec like your T680s to when you get in your 880s heavy spec or your W900s. But that's what I do is you know, just looking at that overall. So you know, you got to look at that. If, you know, if you're going to do a heavy spec, you're going to have a double frame rail, 46s. Usually you're going to have a wet line kit, hydraulic kit if you're running end dumps, walk-in floors, or maybe you're running a wet kit to also run an RGN and other jazz. So that and the bigger motor and stuff like that. Heavy front axle, not only the 46 rear diff, but you're going to run like an 20,000 pound front axle with the big jumbo tire on the front. Just keep that in mind when you heavy spec a truck. That truck's weight then goes up, and you lose your net, your tire net weight coming down. Therefore, like this truck, these trucks will be these Cascadias that I'm running. Usually are around 19.5 ish, right in there, under under 20,000. You may be 22,000, give or take 1,000 on a heavy spec truck. So you're going to be up there more. And they always say, like, if you compare like a 389, 379, say 80-inch sleeper on a 79 Peterbilt, and then you get like a 72-inch sleeper, 80-inch studio sleeper, Kenworth. Kenworth's always going to be running about 1,000 pounds heavier than it's just a heavier truck overall. So that's been the common knowledge and norm over the years, that Kenworth's always going to run a little on the heavier side. But yeah, you definitely need to know what you're going to use your truck and what kind of application. Are you going to go coast to coast? That's where your Cascadias come in, your Volvos come in, your T680s, 579s, the Aerodyne streamlined trucks, because you're just running 80,000 gross, usually van, reefer, maybe a flatbed. But you're looking for the fuel mileage, because maybe you're picking up in Texas and running to, or say like Tommy there at Trucking Unfiltered picks up in Nogales, Arizona, and he runs all the way to Pennsylvania towards Allentown. So that's a lot of driving. That's usually three hard days of driving, and you're not going to want to head the spec truck going across country like that. So you got to know where it makes sense when you're speccing a truck. And I just know, looking at this truck, if it was my business and I was looking, hey, truck's got nice specs, it's rusty, and it's not going to be economical, because if we're going to be paying the same lease payment and we're going to spend maybe 15-20% more on fuel per week, it doesn't make sense. So therefore, I appreciate my truck. I just want to get all the gremlins and the anomalies out of it, and just have it run like it's supposed to, without anything wrong. And it just seems like since the day I got that truck, the ABS light's been on. I have fought that thing for 15 months now. I have fought with the front steering, pulling to the right, and letting go of the steering wheel. It just takes right off. And I can't beat it in those guys enough that this truck's not right. Put it on a frame rack and see if the frame's out of tune. So it's just, when you get a Ryder truck, you get what you get. I've already mentioned to the boss that if I got to put some skin in the game and throw some money at, if we get another truck, well, if I'm still here driving and we get another truck, I want to say so on it. I'll throw some skin in the game, because I'm tired of driving these lease, Ryder truck rental company trucks. They're bare bones. They're not comfortable for the miles and the hours I put in. A lot of guys, and that's the thing, we talked about Sunday about driver shortage. There's a driver retention rate, not a driver shortage. If you want to keep a guy around like myself that appreciates having a nice truck, get him a nice truck. Probably less complaining, and they'll be more comfortable when they get in, instead of feeling like they just got beat up in a Charles Engels horse-drawn lumber wagon going across this damn country. That's it. It's freaking ridiculous. So it's just something companies need to recognize. Now, I've listened to a podcast last night from ET Transport. Rowan there, he interviewed a guy over at Tucker Freight Lines, and he sets his guys all up and nice. He goes, I spec my trucks on the high end, because if I walk out there and get in a truck, I want it to be the way I want it. Every single one of these trucks. If I get in and drive it across this country, I want to be comfortable, and I want it to be specific to me, and I like it, because that makes your day even that much better. Give a driver, any more than a mechanic, the proper tools to get the job done. They're not fighting it all day, all week, to where they're so fatigued, they're like, why am I freaking doing this? You're not going to see a Caterpillar, working on heavy construction equipment, Caterpillar mechanic, going out working with Taiwanese, knockoff stuff from Harbor Freight. They're going to be out there with good tools, because they can't afford to keep breaking tools because of the poor quality. And it goes the same hand in hand with these trucks. Spec these trucks out, give some creature comforts and even suspension comforts so the driver doesn't feel like I said, getting beat up in an old horse-drawn lumber wagon. So that's what my truck feels. This truck actually rides better than mine. But I don't know if there's anything that's been done other than I saw there's brand new shock absorbers, front axle, both drives, and the sleeper cab. It's got new shock absorbers on it. That shouldn't be making a difference like that, just because of that. So it may be something I'll look at later on, maybe on the next PM, is question the shock absorbers and get them swapped out. But for the most part, that's my take on this is, treat a driver right, give him a good spec truck. Give him good equipment so he can feel confident to get out there and get the assigned work done. The contracted work that if you're a company and you've got contracts to pull stuff or deliver stuff from A to B, don't half-ass your equipment. And there's a lot of guys out there running, refurbishing a lot of tired iron. And I have mentioned it before to people close to me that I'm not going to deal with junk anymore. I'm getting at the tail end of this stuff. I want some nice amenities and creature comforts with with a truck when I'm out here. And I think that's going to help with retention rate besides paying benefits and delivering on empty promises, which a lot of companies do. I will tell you this, one of the worst places to sign on for a trucking company is be weary and be skeptical of any companies that come out of Chicago. And I'm going to tell you, there is a lot of foreign nationals running companies up there. A lot of Middle Easterns, a lot of Russians. And I'm just giving you a heads up that vet those companies if they look like they're enticing you with some good perks, paid benefits, whatever. You better take a look real in depth and see, because too many American drivers are getting screwed on being left high and dry out there and stuff like that. These companies don't care. They're out for a margin, and it's always coming back when these drivers got complaints and there's problems and they do a YouTube on it. It's always a Chicago-based company. So I'm not here to bash them. I'm just saying, if you're stepping that way, to vet that company well, look at their background, look at reviews, reach out to some current or former drivers and just find out what the culture and atmosphere was there. So you got a good idea, so you don't get out on the road and just be let down with a lot of empty promises of what they may entice you with benefits and pay, and find out you're far from ever receiving that. But until next time, folks, stay safe, continue educating yourself. Knowledge is learned, not taught, and we will see you all in the next video.